you two things: how to use the graduated filter and the radial filter here on the right side of your Camera RAW display in the toolbar. We'll start off with the graduated filter rather. And what I'm going to do is see this plus mark. I'm going to position that where I want the beginning of my graduated filter to begin. I'll hold down the shift key so that stays level. Drag it down to about there, I think. So what's going to happen as I apply the effects is the effects will start here and gradually here be less. So they'll start off heavy on top and light on the bottom. And of course I could invert these if I wanted to. So what I'd like to do is darken the sky a bit. I knew this was going to be an issue when I shot this in Ojai, California, but if I had exposed less, I would have had a problem with my shadow area here on the bottom. I think by moving my temperature down here, I can cool that blue down a little bit too. Maybe go a little bit more on the exposure, just so you can see the effect. And there you have it. In just less than a minute, I went from that to that. Of course, I could apply any of the other effects. Let's try this image here on top to see what else we could do using the radial filter. Now, these are the same tools you have here, the same effects basically that you have in the basics bar, except now I can apply them to just one particular area. So what I'm going to do is hold down the shift key again and drag, and as I drag outward, whoops, there we go, I can see I filled up this entire area. Oops, don't want that. So, but the reason that happened was because I lifted my mouse key and the shift key at the same time. So I'll do that again. This time I will release my mouse first, and now I'll lift the shift key and it won't happen. If I engage the caps lock, I can see where my feather begins and where it ends. So I'm going to just decrease my feather a little bit, reposition the general circle just a little bit. By the way, this is a symbol called a gakil, and it's the surface of the Tibetan drum, in case you were wondering. Now what I'd like to do is I think I'd like to bring down the highlights of that area a little and increase the shadows. You know what it's doing? It's working on the background, and I don't want it to work on the background. I want it to work within the image. So now it's working in the image. Now it's working on the outside of the image. Notice how when it's working on the outside, it's kind of a checkered green color. And when it's working on the inside, when I click this invert button, it's a red button. Those used to be located down here on the bottom in an earlier version of Camera RAW, and it said outside and inside instead of invert, in case you're using an older version. So here's a before. Well, let me just come out of that. Here's the before, and here's an after. It's a subtle change, but I think it works very well for this particular image. Now let's try something different with this image, something more of a radical change. This time again, I'll use the radial filter. And if I don't hold the shift key, this is what happens. But now if I hold the shift key down and double click in that area, it fills the whole area. Very much like it would if you were using the Vignette tool in effects. And if I just bring this slider down, again I need to invert. If I bring this slider down, I'm getting a vignette. But I could also do something like change the hue of that background. I could do it rather radically, actually. Let's say I want to make it just a little bit yellow to emphasize what's going on in the middle of the picture. And there you have it. Before and after. Quite a radical difference in just a minute. So you can apply all those different tools you have in your basics panel to just one particular circle or oval, or as a graduated filter using these two tools. And I encourage you to play with it. It's not something you're going to need very often, but it's nice to know it's there. Have a good day. Take care.